Right now with Clifford Young, he's the managing director of Ipsos. He's the public sector and polling here in the United States. Paulo brings up a good point. He says 30 million have been brought up from the working class to the, as he calls it, the lower middle class. Hey, that's pretty good. But yet the media, like us, for example, will focus on the big inequality between the rich and the poor. So my question to you is, how serious is this problem?
Well, first and foremost, there's positive signs over the last decade in Brazil. As Paulo was saying, a huge expansion of the middle class, which has brought a lot of good things to people. But what's happened in addition is that as people have risen socially and economically, they expect their governments to be better at providing services.
They want more stuff.
They want more things. And indeed, they used to be scared about putting food on the table. Some basic things, a simple job, basic economic stability. Now, while they still want those things, they want other things I call quality of life or the quality of life agenda. They want better schools. They want better health care. They want better transportation. They don't want to be stuck in traffic for 4 hours a day in the big cities. They don't want to be robbed on the street. And these sorts of things are services that only the government, or primarily the government, can provide. And Brazilians at this point feel like the government is not providing them.
Brazil, it is a big place. There are, I'm sure, big cities and small cities and cities that are affluent and other cities that aren't so affluent. So the question is how does it compare to the other emerging or even emerged economies around the world? It must do fairly well when you put them side by side.
Yeah, well, if you look at Brazil relative to other countries, it's sort of in the middling part, a middling portion. There are countries that are more affluent, those that are less affluent. It's sort of in the middle. But like many of the other emerging markets, the other BRICS, it's seen this expansion of the middle class. And once again, huge expansion creates bottlenecks, especially governmental bottlenecks, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a reaction of a large segment of the Brazilian population to the fact that they're just not getting their just rewards.
Why isn't the government doing more? I mean, everyone's asking that same country. Brazil is a country rich of resources. It has money. It has a lot of respect from around the world. Why can't they do more for its people who are asking for more?
Well, in the short term, there's a lot of inefficiencies. Government has the resources, but they can't get those resources to the final point of contact with their citizenry. So it's much more about efficiency than willpower.
Okay, I mean, that explains the problem, but the president has come out and said that they are going to do more, the administration will do more. Why hasn't more been done?
Because it takes time. It takes time to build roads. It takes time to redesign urban landscapes. It takes time to improve teachers and the quality of education. It takes time to put the right resources in the hands of the police and other authorities to reduce crime. So these are problems which are transient, intrinsic to the Brazilian society, and will take time to resolve.
The rest of the world is looking at Brazil as a new playground, so to speak, of the beautiful beaches. You're looking at some video now of that. It's not just that. They're going to be hosting the World Cup. They've got the Olympics come up. These are very big international events that are usually showcased for countries that aren't developing anymore. They're already usually developed.
Yes, it's very interesting. So on the one hand, Brazil as a country, especially under Lula, the last president, really pushed these big events, wanting to show that Brazil had arrived on the world stage. On the other hand, part of the reason for the protests we've seen in Brazil over the last year is Brazilians are saying, you know what, why are we spending all this money on these events when I don't have the basic needs?
Here's the big question, and I think there are people here in the United States that ask this, whether you're in China or Singapore or any other country on earth, everyone asks this one question, and that is, no matter what class you're in, do you have an opportunity to move up to the next social and economic class?
Well, Brazilians felt that, and there was a strong feeling of social mobility over the last decade. In the last year, 2 years or so, as the economy has sputtered, as things have not worked out, as inflation's gone up, people are wondering, is our dream, is this dream expansion coming to an end? So there are worries among the Brazilian citizenry.
Well, I didn't hear you say yes, and I didn't hear you say no, and I think that's the problem. Clifford Young, thank you very much for your time. Good to have you on the show.